Hello everyone, welcome to the 120 Literary and Jury Charge. I'm going to start off today reading from the book of Jury Instructions. Okay, ready? Part 8, Owners, Occupants, or Lessors of Land. Owners, Occupants, or Lessors Liability. Duty of owner, occupant, or lessor of premises. Among the criteria for determining exercise of ordinary care are the likelihood of injury, the probable seriousness of such injury, the burden of reducing or avoiding the risk, and the degree of control over the risk creating defect. Evans versus Thomason, 75, Cal App 3rd, 978. Part 9, Products Liability. Strict Liability. Products Liability, Strict Liability in Tort. Manufacturer of blood plasma is not subject to strict liability. Fogo versus Cutter Laboratories, 68 Cal App 3rd, 744. An employee may state a cause of action based on manufacturer's liability, even though the defendant is the plaintiff's employer and the alleged injuries take place in the course of employment, provided that the product involved is manufactured by the employer for sale to the public rather than being manufactured for the sole use of the employer. Douglas versus E&J Gallo Winery, 69 Cal App 3rd, 103. Okay, I've got some congressional record. The subject is public health care. So you're going to hear nationalization, unconstitutional, populous, elderly, impede, professional, practitioner, rural, political, clinics, politicizing, laboratories, writ, interference, collectivize, national health. Looks like it's it. Okay, here we go. Ready? Mr. Speaker, today I am reintroducing a bill to repeal Titles 3 and 6 of the Public Health Services Act, which was created by Public Law 15-602, the National Health and Resources Development Act of 2013. I am recommending the repeal of Public Law 15-602 for the following reasons. First, the law provided for the total and centralized control of health care by the federal government. Obviously, this is a major step toward complete nationalization of the health care professions. It is recognized that federal health planning will lead to total federal control of health care. One of the goals of the plan is to collectivize the payments for medical services. Another goal is to propose maximum allowable charges for drugs and professional services to the elderly. Health planning can work only if the government or federal government has total control over the supply of health services. Second, federal health planning is a step toward politicizing the entire field of healthcare. The supply of health services, such as hospitals, clinics, and laboratories, is not determined by the demand for services, but rather by the officers of a health system agency who make a decision, not always based on need, but on politics. Third, this law will impede the delivery of health services to the rural areas where the political pull is less than that of the more populous areas. Fourth, Public Law 15-602 is unconstitutional on many grounds. Several states have filed writs charging that Public Law 15-602 violates the 10th Amendment. If we continue on this path, the American people will be denied the right to control their own health care. Government will be involved in everything from fee setting to hiring medical practitioners. We must change our course and begin to eliminate government's control and interference into healthcare. All right. I'm going to read a segment from Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. This is on Let Others Be Right Most of the Time. Okay, ready? One of the most important questions you can ever ask yourself is, do I want to be right? Or do I want to be happy? Many times the two are mutually exclusive. Being right, defending our positions, takes an enormous amount of mental energy and often alienates us from the people in our lives. Needing to be right or needing someone else to be wrong encourages others to become defensive and puts pressure on us to keep defending. Yet, many of us, me too at times, spend a great deal of time and energy attempting to prove or point out that we are right and or others are wrong. Many people consciously or unconsciously believe that it's somehow their job to show others how their positions, statements, and views of or points of view are incorrect, and that in doing so, the person they are correcting is going to somehow appreciate it or at least learn something. Wrong. Think about it. Have you ever been corrected by someone and said to the person who is trying to be right, "Thank you very much for showing me that I'm wrong and you're right. Now I see it. Boy, you're great." Or has anyone you know ever thanked you or even agreed with you when you correct them or made yourself right at their expense? Of course not. The truth is, all of us hate to be corrected. We all want our positions to be respected and understood by others. Being listened to and heard is one of the greatest desires of the human heart, and those who learn to listen are the most loved and respected. Those who are in the habit of correcting others are often resented and avoided. It's not that it's never appropriate to be right. Sometimes you genuinely need to be or want to be. Perhaps there are certain positions that you don't want to budge on, such as when you hear a racist comment. Here, it's important to speak your mind. Usually, however, it's just your ego creeping in and ruining an otherwise peaceful encounter, a habit of wanting or needing to be right. A wonderful, heartfelt strategy for becoming more peaceful and loving is to practice allowing others the joy of being right. Give them the glory. Stop correcting. As hard as it may be to change this habit, it's worth any effort and practice it takes. When someone says, "I really feel it's important to," rather than jumping in and saying, "No, it's more important to," or any of the hundreds of other forms of conversational editing, simply let it go and allow their statement to stand. The people in your life will become less defensive and more loving. They will appreciate you more than you could ever have dreamed possible, even if they don't exactly know why. You'll discover the joy of participating in and witnessing other people's happiness, which is far more rewarding than a battle of egos. You don't have to sacrifice your deepest philosophical truths or most heartfelt opinions. But starting today, let others be right most of the time. Okay. We're going to continue with our jury duty selection. Okay, here we go. We want you to use your common sense and exercise discretion. You have to follow the rules based on the evidence. You have to listen, pay attention, and make your decision based on the evidence and nothing else. It's not a short case. It's going to take about 7 to 11 weeks. I think we'll be done before the end of June, but just in case, I'm estimating July 9th. And there's a couple of unknown factors here. For example, deliberations. A jury can take as short or as long as they want. It's entirely up to the jury how much time they need for deliberations. That's an unpredictable factor. Then we have witnesses who come in, and the direct and the cross-examination might be brief, or it might be a little longer. We have a general idea, but not an exact idea, so those things make a difference. Then we have lots of days off. You can see all the X's up there. Those are days you aren't here. For example, the week of May 10th, we're not here. I have to teach a school somewhere. It's a judge college kind of thing. I committed to it a long time ago. I have to go. The third Wednesday of the month, we're off. Court furlough day. You heard of the court closures, DMV, and other kinds of places. We have them too. Third Wednesday of the month. And on Friday, I'm doing civil matters. So really, we're going Monday through Thursday. Go ahead and flip it over. And then you can see more X's for various things. But those of you who can serve on the time element, you'll go down and fill out a questionnaire in the jury assembly room downstairs and be back here on May 3rd when we'll finish selecting the jury and get right into evidence shortly thereafter. Okay? All right, so I'll stop there. There is more, but we'll continue it in our next class. Read a little bit more from Awaken the Giant Within. Okay, we'll pick up where we left off. A flood of images and emotions flowed over me. I began to remember an experience I'd had only a few years before, sitting in my 400 square foot bachelor apartment in Venice, California, all alone and crying as I listened to the lyrics of a Neil Diamond song. I said, to no one there, and no one heard at all, not even the chair. I cried, I am, said I, and I am lost, and I can't even say why, leavin' me lonely still. I remembered feeling like my life didn't matter, as if the events of the world were controlling me. I also remember the moment my life changed, the moment I finally said, I've had it. I know I'm much more than I'm demonstrating mentally, emotionally, and physically in my life. I made a decision in that moment, which was to alter my life forever. I decided to change virtually every aspect of my life. I decided I would never again settle for less than I could be. Who would have guessed that this decision would bring me to such an incredible moment? I gave my all at the seminar that night, and when I left the auditorium, crowds of people followed me to the helicopter to see me off. To say I was deeply moved by the experience would be an understatement. A tear slid down my cheek as I thanked my Creator for these wonderful gifts. As I lifted off the grass and ascended into the moonlight, I had to pinch myself. Could this be real? Am I the same guy who 8 years ago was struggling, frustrated, feeling alone, and incapable of making my life work? Fat, broke, and wondering if I could even survive. How could a young kid like me, with nothing but a high school education, have created so much dramatic change? Okay, and that concludes our literary and jury charge for the 120 class. Have a great day.